Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is your local problematic Leo at it again with another Color CL contact lens review. Now, per usual, I am late to the party. However, better late than never. So today we're going to be taking a look at Color CL's latest launch, which is going to be their Identity Series Persona Collection. Finally, I managed to nail it in one take. Regardless, let's go ahead and continue with a channel tradition as I show you my naked brown eyes while I read you the stat. Now, the lens diameter is 14.2 millimeters, the graphic diameter is 13.5 millimeters, the base curve is 8.6 millimeters, and this is the big stat we want to pay attention to. The pupil diameter is actually 5 millimeters, which does put this on the larger size of pupil holes. It's not the biggest hole we've seen, however, it is a little bit larger than normal. Now, each pair will run you $25 at regular price. However, they do offer prescriptions at no additional cost, and each pair will last for 6 months after opening. But as we all know, Color CL does a whole lot of sales throughout the year. In fact, you can use my code ROB10 to save you 10% off at checkout, or whatever code you see fit that might work a little bit better for you. But if you do want to support the channel, you can go ahead and use that code or shop through the affiliated link down in the description box below. I appreciate it. Alright, so before we take a look at each of the individual colors, let's have a quick chat about construction. Now, as I stated a bit earlier, these do have a larger pupil hole than normal, which I know goes completely against what the contact lens community say they want. However, Color CL has gone on record saying that the smaller pupil holes that they have do tend to lead to a bit of blurriness, and that's led to some complaints. So, you know, they wanted to diversify their offerings, which I can totally respect. Now, when it comes to these type of lenses with the larger pupil holes, I do treat them a little bit differently, color-wise at least, than it comes to my normal lenses. I actually consider them like framing lenses. They frame the outside of your eye, they add a little bit of color to the, not the pupil, I'm gonna say the iris, and I feel like by now, after I've been doing this for as long as I have, I should know the construction of the eye a little bit better, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So for these lenses specifically, they have a very strong limbal ring. I feel like I've lost some of you already. Big pupil hole, strong limbal ring, you guys are out. However, this is right up my alley. Then they go ahead and layer in 2 different colors to kind of create this nice, cloudy, almost latte-like blend. If you guys are familiar with the Cloud series that they have, it's very similar to that. The pattern's not the same, but it gives off that same vibe. So if you guys are looking for lenses like these, definitely check out the Cloud series. However, if you are at all curious or willing to hear me out or have nothing better to do than to leave me in the background as I ramble about contact lenses, let's go ahead and take a look at what this series has to offer. Okay, so I'm probably not starting with my best foot forward because Persona Loyal is probably one of the most boring colors of the bunch. However, we do have 3 browns to go through, and I think this might be my sleeper favorite of the whole batch. Now, as I had stated a little bit earlier, I do treat framing lenses a little bit differently. I kind of like them to blend in with my own natural color just a little bit better because, you know, I want them to add that kind of like pop of color, but not necessarily be like this show-stopping like overall change. Now, with these ones, they do have a very intense black limbal ring, which can be a lot in some cases. However, because of the fact that this is kind of like blended in with 2 different layers of this kind of like smoky brown and this cool tone kind of like cocoa, it almost seems like a little bit of like a chill, laid-back brown gray. Now, that should set off some alarms for some of the longtime viewers here. You guys know that I love me a good gray lens, especially one that's a little bit dirty. This is more of the like unclockable version of that. Like for me, it gives some like gray brownness on the outside of the eye, and then when my eye color peeks through, it adds a little bit more of the warmth. So I really like the way that it kind of like all merges together, almost kind of like a cool toned cream and like a coffee. I don't know. I'm vibing with it. I don't know if you guys feel like if it's enough of a change, but me personally, I like it a lot. So moving from a dark brown gray into a lighter blue gray, we have Persona Charming. Now, you guys know, I love me a gray lens. However, the close-ups on these, I was not necessarily a big fan of, but like all of these lenses, I do have to say they look better kind of like in real life at conversational distances. And at that point, these kind of grow on me a little bit better. In the last series, they had that kind of cool heterochromia going on with the two different shades on each side, but kind of with the way that these are set up, because of the fact that they have such a larger pupil hole, and because of the fact that the color on the iris is so strong, it kind of does create its own heterochromia, which I'm kind of into. So I don't know, I'm a little bit torn on these ones because the close-ups, I didn't necessarily like them, but now kind of looking at them like in the regular mirror and just kind of walking around in real life, they're kind of growing on me. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Moving along, we have the second of our brown lenses in Persona Reserve. Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, this is one of those lenses that I would have loved as a full lens as opposed to one of the framing lens. However, because of the fact that it is what it is, I gotta treat it a little bit differently. Now, this doesn't have as an intense black limbal ring as Persona Loyal does. This one's a little bit softer, however, it's still intense. And then on the inside, you have this really pretty kind of like hazel green brown vibe. Now, overall, it looks brown, but it does have a little bit of an olivey tinge to it, but not olive enough to make it green. So a part of me is kind of sad because it contrasts a little bit too much with the red brown that is in my own natural eyes, and it doesn't look super duper flattering, at least in my personal opinion. But what it does mean is that if you do have a cooler tone brown eye, this will actually work out really nicely for you, which I think is what the Identity series is all about, is finding a lens that vibes perfectly with your own natural undertones, whether it be in your eyes or in your skin. So, options, right? So, I hate doing browns back to back. However, I did want to save Persona Faithful for after Persona Reserved, and that's mainly because of the fact that Persona Faithful is basically like my eyes got highlights. And I know that sounds kind of weird and kind of crazy, but I feel like it's almost what Color CL wanted to do with this Identity series, was something just to kind of like bring more light into your eyes. And that's exactly what Faithful does. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have not worn these since like the initial try-on because I was a little bored of them, because I was like, that's basically like my eye color. Who wants that? But after putting them on and kind of staring at them for a little bit, I was like, it just kind of brought a little extra light into my eyes. Now, as opposed to the previous shades that we've seen, this one actually has a much warmer limbal ring. It's still dark, not as dark as some of the other ones, but it's kind of like a dark reddy brown limbal ring, and then it's got a more amber interior with a little bit of dimension in there. And I have to say, I think that this is what Color CL was meaning to do with this, because I feel like it doesn't really change my eye color, but instead it like enhances it. And I don't hate my eye color, I gotta put it out there, you know what? I do love my naked brown eyes. What my mama gave me is just fine and dandy, so why not add a little bit of embellishment to that? It's like my eyes, oh, this sounds kind of bad, like, you know how your hair gets sun bleached? It's like my eyes got sun bleached, but not like with sun damage, just by a contact lens. Ooh, this is spiraling really quickly. Regardless, I think I'm gonna have to play with these a little bit more, because now I'm feeling myself. But like not feeling myself because I've changed a lot, but just because I've like zhuzhed myself up a little bit. And I mean, isn't that what contact lenses are supposed to do? Just make you feel a little bit good about yourself. And this makes me feel good about myself in a different way than is normal. So, you know, Persona Faithful, I might have to show a little more faith in you. Now, being the dramatic Leo that I am, of course I saved the best for last with Persona Poetic. Remember how I said that Persona Faithful like brought out my own natural eye colors and it made me feel all good about myself, and how Persona Reserved was a little too like hazel for me? We're gonna pretend that none of that happened, because these lenses are an absolute banger, and I think I know why. I feel like these share a lot of the same DNA with Romance India, one of the biggest hits for Color CL. They have a little bit of a dark, like indigo teal limbal ring, which blends into this really pretty hazel, and I've gone on record for saying that for some reason they just work on everybody, And while I do have to say, I don't necessarily love the way that these kind of clash a little bit with my own brown-red eye color, somehow they work, and I think it is that like indigo teal limbal ring that provides one color, and then you have that almost contrasting like hazily green color, and then you have my own natural color which comes out, and it's just like this interesting mishmash of like heterochromia. It's really nice, and you know what? I have gotten a lot of compliments at them at work, so listen, I'm gonna take everything that I can get. So I'm gonna say that I can put my stamp of approval on these ones, and these are probably my favorite of the bunch because they do pop, they do give you a little bit of an extra, but they're not super duper extra where you're like seeing blurry vision, you know? So really nice colors, and you can see straight. Not that we always want to see straight. You know, sometimes we want to see a little homosexuality in there. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. These are definitely one of the best of the bunch. Alrighty, so that about does it for my review of the Color CL Identity Series Persona collection. I hope I'm saying it right. There's just so many words that it slowly turns into a mishmash. However, as you guys can probably tell, my recommendations for the bunch are going to be Persona Poetic, and then, in all honesty, I would find the right brown shade that you think will match best with your own eyes. Again, I really liked, was it Loyal? The names are so kind of abstract, but I think Loyal was the one that had that kind of like ashy gray brown that I really like. If you want to cool things down a little bit, if you want to spice things up a little bit, go ahead and pick up Faithful. If you have your own greeny tone, it's going to be all about that Persona Reserve. And then of course, if you want to go ahead and splash a little bit of like blue gray in there, there's going to be Persona Charming. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. I really would encourage people to try something that brings out that light in their own natural eye color and celebrate that a little bit, because even though I do love me a little bit of the poetic, that feeling of like, ooh, I just kind of feel myself a little bit more when I hit that Faithful and that warmth. Ooh, it was a good time. Regardless, those are my recommendations. Don't forget to use code ROB10 when you check out for 10% off of your purchase, or you know, whatever the best deal is. But if you do like the information that I put out here, please go ahead and bookmark the affiliate link that I use down below. It definitely helps the channel out a lot. Anyway, that about does it for me for now, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!